Welcome back, everybody. Today I wanted to go over another kind of control, like control flow statement. So last time we learned about if statements. This time I wanted to talk about the switch statement. So the switch statement is kind of like an if statement, but it's a little bit different. It has some kind of funny properties. Um, so I guess I'll just start off with an example. So let's say that you were writing a program, to print a message based on what grade somebody got. So let's say we'll have a variable called grade, and let's say that they got a B, right? Um, so then maybe you want to print out a message depending on what grade they got. So you could do this with if statements, right? You could say like if grade equals A, you know, print that out, print out a message, and then you could, keep going down, else if good job, and then keep going down. And so that's one way you could do this. Another way is that you can use a switch statement. So a switch statement is written almost the same way. So you would replace this with switch instead of an if. And then instead of saying like if this equals whatever, you simply so we're switching on the grade. So you just tell it what you want to compare everything to. So we're just like we want to base our conditions based off of this variable grade. And so then within the switch statement you make a case for every type of case that you want to handle. So we make a case for A. So if grade is equal to A, then whatever we put underneath this first case will get executed. So then we can, put this here, and then this will get printed if grade is equal to A, and then we would replace this part with another case B, and of course put the tab there. And so it's a little bit different, but this is a different way that you can, do this conditional logic. So let's go all the way down the line here. What do you say if someone got a C? Nice. And then a switch statement allows you to provide a default. So like with the if else, you can put the last else, and that's sort of like a catch-all if none of the other cases match. And so you can do the same thing here, and you just type the word default. So if nothing else matches, you can just print out, some default message. And so that's what the switch statement looks like. It's, it's almost the same as if statements, and I think in most cases the if statement is a little bit better. But so there's actually a couple things I should say with regard to the switch statement, because it's a little bit different in how it executes. So I said the grade was a B, and if I run this, you'll notice something kind of strange happens. So it prints good job, right, which is the B message, but then it also prints everything else below it. And so that's just how a switch statement in C++ works by default, is once it hits a case that matches, it will execute that one and then every other case below it. And it will just keep going until it runs into what's called a break statement. So the break is literally just the word break, and you just type the word break, and that will stop execution. So if I run this again, you'll notice it'll print good job, nice, too bad, but then this break makes it stop. So these two they will not get not get printed. Right. So if you didn't want everything below each of these to print, you're going to need to put a break statement at the end of each of them. So there, now we've added break statements to every case. So if you run this again, you should only see good job print. And there it is. So it's a little bit of a funky behavior, the fact that like everything below the case prints as soon as you hit one that matches. There's not really a whole lot of great use cases for that I can think of. So I had an idea for a use case, but I realized partway through that you actually can't even do that because you'd have to switch on a string. And here's why that's not possible. So there's one other thing I wanted to mention, and that's that whatever you put right here in the switch statement, the expression that you're going to compare to all the cases, it can only be an integer, a char, or an enumerated type. And we haven't talked about enumerated types yet, but those are something that we will probably cover in the future. They're pretty useful. It's basically a way to define your own type and the values that are associated with it. So those are kind of cool, but yeah, we'll go over those a little bit later. But yeah, that's the one thing about the switch statement, is that it can't be, whatever you want here. It can only be integer, char, or enumerated. And so if you wanted to do this kind of thing with a string, you would have to use just if-else statements. But anyway, I think that's all that I wanted to talk about with the switch statement. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. There's just that one kind of gotcha with the break statements. I think in most cases you'd probably prefer to use the if statement over the switch. The switch, I mean, it's a good thing to know about, which is why I made this video, but I think most times you'd either prefer to use an if or inheritance, which is an object-oriented concept that we'll get to later. But yeah, it's good to know about, but I'd prefer the if most of the time. But yeah, if you guys are new here, make sure you subscribe and like the video, and I will talk to you guys next time.